UFC Sacramento takes place this weekend, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you my exact predictions for how I think every fight in the card is going to play out. So without further ado, let's get into the picks. First fight we got is Shanelle Dyer taking on Elise Reed, and in this one, we got Elise Reed, who is undefeated when fights go to decision, but in the UFC, if a finish occurs, she is getting finished. Her losses in the UFC are all by finish, and all of her wins are by decision. So if this fight goes to the scorecards, I imagine Elise Reed probably grappled and jabbed her way to a weird decision, but I don't see that happening. Shanelle Dyer throws with double the volume, has big power, mixes in takedowns of her own. I think she's going to put big paws on Elise Reed and eventually slime her out, just like Denise Gomez did against Elise Reed in her last fight. So give me Shanelle Dyer to win this by, I'm going to say round 2 knockout. I think round 1, maybe she plays with her food. And then round 2, she puts some real leather on Elise and gets her out of there. Next fight we got is Jackson McVey taking on Wes Schulz. And in this one, we got a battle of Jesuses. Look at these men. I mean, they're very similar. Long locks, facial hair. Holy, probably not holy. But let's break this down. So Wes Schulz, he's kind of a victim on the feet. So if Jackson McVey wants to just size mog him and just jab his way to a decision victory, I think he can do that. Jackson McVey, big clinch game. He's going to throw big elbows and knees in the clinch if they get close. Wes Schulz, he might average 2.39 takedowns per 15 minutes, but his takedown entries are not the best. Jackson McVey, however, he has been submitted in his 2 losses. Got submitted by Bruno Ferreira by armbar. Don't think Wes Schulz is going to find an armbar, McVey. And he did get rear naked choked by Zachary Reese after he gassed out against Zachary Reese. You watch that fight back, Jackson McVey was winning until he gassed out. And yeah, I am fearful that happens in this fight. If he can't get Wes Schulz out of there in the first minute and a half, round and a half, I think Wes Schulz can potentially pull this away in rounds 2, 3, maybe even find a round 3 sub like he did in his last fight. I'm not picking Wes Schulz, though. I will never pick Wes Schulz again. A guy just looks like a victim when he fights. He kind of needs you to gas out for him to win. He needs to do the Homer Simpson method to win fights, and I just can't predict someone to win that way. So give me Jackson McVey to go out there, clinch Wes Schulz, land big elbows, big knees. Honestly, make Wes Schulz quit. I think McVey has the potential to do that. Wouldn't be shocked to see a submission, but Wes Schulz is 6-0 to the sub, so I think we see a ground and pound finish. Next fight we got is Gage Young taking on Stan Dorsainvil, and in this one, Gage Young, you know, he does have the UFC experience, but you look at his resume, it's not really impressive. You know, a decision loss to Evan Elder, not really impressed by that. Split decision against Thiago Moises, I mean, okay. Mahashate decision, you can't even finish Mahashate. I'm not impressed by that. And he does have a decision loss to Quillan Salkeel, so the fact that he survived 15 minutes with him, that was pretty impressive, but, you know, he did get taken down a lot in that fight. He doesn't do well when people are pressuring him. And in this one, Stan Dorsainvil is going to have the height advantage, the 6-inch reach advantage. You watch this guy fight, all he does is apply pressure. He's constantly doing like this weird leg thing, like a Tim Elliott style, where he's forcing himself into the pocket. And when he gets into the pocket, he throws with big power. He also has a lot of takedowns that he can go to. A lot of his fights, he's getting control time on the ground. He's getting control time against the cage. I like his level of competition. He mainly fought against guys in the LFA, and LFA guys are always pretty good. So 5-0, round 1 finishes, round 3 finishes. He has decision victories. Stan Dorsainvil can win wherever this fight goes. This is a pretty close matchup, in my opinion. You might just take Gage Young because he has the UFC experience, and Stan Dorsainvil is only 5-0. But based on the tape, I think Stan Dorsainvil has the skill set, has the tools to win a fight like this. Apply pressure, get takedowns, mix in big power shots, and ultimately I think Stan Dorsainvil can win this fight. So give me Stan Dorsainvil, underdog pick, to win this by decision. I would actually be shocked to see a finish occur in this fight from either guy, so maybe fight goes to distance, might be a good parlay piece. But I like Stan Dorsainvil regardless. Next fight we got is Marcio Barbosa taking on Ryan Kuse. And in this one, it's going to be hard not to take Marcio minus 900 to win this fight. It's also going to be hard not to take him by his most likely win condition, which is round 1 KO, considering out of his 18 wins, I think like 16 of them have been a round 1 knockout. This guy Barbosa throws with big leather. I am concerned he often stands there doing nothing. That is a concern. So if Ryan Kuse mixes in takedowns, gets in his face, he can make this interesting. Also, if this fight even starts round 2, I'm also concerned for Marcio Barbosa. Both of his KO losses have occurred in round 2, so he often gasses out if he can't find an early finish. He's a bully type of fighter. He's not really good at getting bullied himself. Not really well-rounded, but he does have the big punch of doom, and it seems like they're setting up Ryan Kuse to just get big punched of doomed. So, give me Marcio Barbosa to win by knockout in the first round. I'm not completely sold on Barbosa as a prospect. I do think he has gas tank issues. I do think he has chin issues, but they're giving him someone that's literally never fought in the UFC. So this should be a KO in the first round. Next fight we got is Nasrat Haqparast taking on Chris Padilla. And in this one, very, very close matchup. According to the stats, at least, these guys are going to throw at similar volume. Nasrat might absorb more strikes, but it is pretty close there. Takedown defense is pretty close. They're both around 30 years old. They're both around the same height, same reach. Very close metrics, top to bottom. But I'm going to tell you why I'm picking who I'm picking. So Chris Padilla has the ability to mix in takedowns. That is something Nasrat just simply does not do. Chris Padilla has a way better grappling game than Nasrat Haqparast. You look at Haqparast's resume, the only 2 fighters that could have possibly taken him down and submitted him is Quillan Salkield, who knocked him out in 2 minutes, and then also Marcin Held, who actually did nearly submit Nasrat, had a submission attempt credited to him in that fight, and Chris Padilla might do the same thing. I mean, we saw Chris Padilla against James Yontop. When a fight is pretty close in the feet, Chris Padilla is not scared to just go all in for takedowns. I like Chris Padilla's fight IQ. He fights with high fight IQ. He knows what to do when he needs to do it. He's going to throw big elbows in the clinch. He's going to throw damaging strikes that produce damage on Nasrat's face, on Nasrat's body. Chris Padilla takes damage well. Nasrat doesn't. Even when Nasrat wins, he's often bloodied up. He's often beaten to a pulp. Against Esteban Ribovic, he should have lost that fight. Against Jared Gooden, he should have lost that fight. And if he would have lost both of those fights, this guy's resume is like 18-9, 18-10. Like, not the best record to be looking at. So, I like Chris Padilla here. I'm going with Chris Padilla to ultimately land more damage on the feet, be the better striker when it's at close range, and mix in takedowns that can ultimately potentially lead to a submission victory. It's a 1.9% chance of happening on Tapology, but I think if Chris Padilla decides to be a grappler this fight, he can get it done. Next fight we got is Shamil Gaziev taking on Kennedy Nzechukwu, and in this one, at first, I was leaning Kennedy as the underdog. You might be shocked to hear that. He will have the height advantage. He will have a 5-inch reach advantage. He will throw double the volume on the feet, but I have a couple concerns. My number one concern is, Shamil Gaziev loves to throw the right hand cross. He loves to counter with the right hand. He loves to do the in, out, back in. And Kennedy struggles with fighters that do that. You look at his knockout losses. Dustin Jacoby literally did that. Literally backed up, hit him with the cross, and Kennedy crumbled. Da Woon Jung literally hit him with a cross, and then he hit him with some elbows, and Kennedy crumbled. It seems that Kennedy's biggest weakness, which is the right cross counter, is Shamil Gaziev's biggest weapon. So that's the only reason I would figure that out, is from actually digging into tape study. Without tape study, it seems like Kennedy would just win this fight by decision. It seems like this is just going to be a point-standing battle. It seems like Shamil Gaziev, who's gotten knocked out in his last 2 fights, his durability is gone. And it would seem that Kennedy has the cardio edge. But you dive into that tape, man. Dive into that film. Kennedy, his cardio isn't the best. I'm not convinced a knockout win over Lucas Bresky and a knockout win over Chris Barnett is going to make it so that you can knock out Shamil Gaziev. I'm just not impressed with Kennedy. If he was more active on the feet, like the numbers suggest, perhaps I would lean his way by decision. But I just think Shamil's going to snipe him at some point. So give me Shamil Gaziev. Turn back the clock. Rerun the title run. Shamil Gaziev, round 1, knockout. Pretty confident in this. It's not often that I do tape study and it makes me reverse my pick and actually be way more confident in it. But give me the blob by knockout. Next fight we got is Jamall Emmers taking on Lerryan Douglas. And in this one, more often than not, 9.9 times out of 10, we're going to see Lerryan Douglas sleep Jamall Emmers in the first round. Emmers is 37 years old. He has been chinned multiple times, in the first round. He's been submitted early. This guy's not really durable in any facet of MMA. I am concerned, though, if Jamall Emmers decides to be a takedown artist like he did against Hyder Amil. Hyder Amil and Lerryan Douglas are pretty similar. They're both guys that are going to go out there in round 1 and round 2 and try to finish you. And if they don't finish you, we don't actually know what Lerryan's going to look like. He has been finished in the later rounds before. He does train at Bloodline MMA, so I do like his cardio and his game plan more just because of that. Bloodline MMA with Cub Swanson and Rafa Garcia and Danny Silva, all those guys are putting in good training hours. So Lerryan Douglas should win by round 1 slime out. Tremendous power in his hands. If that does not occur, yeah, the door is open for Jamall Emmers to win a crafty decision, to win a crafty round 3 submission. These things could happen, but I just think Lerryan Douglas is sliming out Jamall Emmers in round 1. I can tell you a million different ways this fight goes if that does not happen, but that's the most likely thing to happen. Next fight we got is Anthony Wint taking on Terrance Chatman, and in this one, Terrance Chatman, 2 fights ago, knocked out Omar El Saha in 20 seconds. That same Omar brought Anthony Wint to a split decision. Now, that's the only information I have for you in this fight. Terrance Chatman, his tape doesn't look that good. I mean, he looks chubby, he looks like he can't really move well on the feet, and if someone were to press the action against him, I imagine he's just going to crumble to that. Split decision loss to Myron Dennis also isn't the best look. Anthony Wint should go out there, do what he did on Contender Series, jump forward, and land a big shot that sleeps Chatman. So give me Anthony Wint, not rocket science, minus 1,000 to win by knockout. You're welcome for the groundbreaking take. Next fight we got is Carli Judice taking on Jeisla Chaves, and in this one, I'm just going to say there's a reason Carli Judice is minus 525, all right? She lands 9.32 significant strikes per, what is that, per minute? Yeah, per minute. So a strike is getting landed on you like almost every other second. She might not have, tremendous power, but the volume she brings is enough to crumble women. Now, you look at Jeisla Chaves, she got nearly knocked out on the Contender Series 2 or 3 times in that fight. And then against Eunice Dubin, she decides to become a grappler when she's mainly a striker. So she didn't like the striking coming her way from Dubin. She didn't like the striking coming her way from Sofia Montenegro. I don't think she's going to like the striking coming her way from Carli Judice. We've seen her rocked. We've seen her wobbled. She's taken a tremendous amount of damage in her last 30 minutes of octagon time. I think Carli Judice is going to pepper her up, fire some high kicks, fire some body kicks, and eventually get her out of there. So give me crispy Carli to win ultimately by knockout. I'm going to say round number 2. Round number 1, it could even happen in, but I don't think Jeisla is that bad. I just think she's going to crumble at some point to crispy Carli's volume. Next fight we got is MarQuel Mederos taking on Mason Jones, and in this one, now I have picked MarQuel Mederos in his recent fights. I even picked him against Chris Padilla. I think this guy is pretty good, pretty well-rounded, decent technical striker, decent wrestler. Everything MarQuel Mederos does is decent, all right? He doesn't have big power. He doesn't have high submission upside. He just knows how to dot his I's, and he knows how to cross his T's. Against a guy like Mason Jones, though, I don't know if that finesse style of fighting is going to work. Mason Jones is going to make this a dogfight. Mason Jones will have a 5-inch reach advantage. He will mix in way more takedowns. He will absorb less strikes. He will land more strikes. He's going to land with more power. And when he actually brings fights to the ground, he actually tries to finish fights. Fishes for subs, fishes for ground and pound. I think this is going to look a lot similar to Mason Jones versus Axel Sola. I think Axel Sola and MarQuel Mederos are similar. They're both finesse fighters that have dog in them, that aren't going to quit on themselves. Mason Jones, I think, actually might make MarQuel quit on himself, though. I think Mason Jones gets takedowns, gets clinches up against the cage, ultimately lands more devastating strikes on the feet that make the judges score it for him. So give me Mason Jones. The price tag's a little high, minus 250 for a guy that doesn't fight with the best fight IQ sometimes, but I still think he gets it done. Let's win by decision, Mr. Welshman. Next fight we got is Reinier taking on Roman Dolidze. And in this one, at first, I was on Roman Dolidze, all right? Plus 300. I thought, that's a crazy price tag. But there's a couple things I didn't know. Number 1, Reinier is making his light heavyweight debut in the UFC. Light heavyweight is where he made his name for himself in one championship. I'm not sure why he was even a middleweight to start in the UFC, but now he's at light heavyweight. Love that a lot for him. He's going to have better cardio. He's going to have better chin. He's going to be stronger. A lot of things going for Reinier making the move to light heavyweight. You look at Roman Dolidze versus Christian Leroy Duncan. If he does that game plan against RDR, he's getting subbed. It's that simple. If he decides to go for takedowns over and over and over again against RDR is going to latch up some type of triangle. He's going to reverse him, sweep him, get on top. He's going to submit him. If it stays in the feet, I don't think Dolidze is the best striker. I think RDR eventually gets the clinch at some point, lands some big knees, forces Dolidze to grapple, and then RDR subs him. I love RDR by sub a lot in this. Give me Reinier the Ritter to win ultimately by submission. I think Dolidze, his fight IQ is not there. He has a bunch of local businesses in Georgia, his home country. He's not really concerned about fighting anymore. He's just here to make like a $75K check and then go back to Georgia. Reinier the Ritter, I still think, is trying to make a run. Light heavyweight might be a great move for him. So let's go RDR. Next fight we got is Sergei Spivak taking on Vitor Petrino. And in this one, yeah, Sergei Spivak fights, I just cannot get correct. I don't know how to predict his fights at all. When I think he has the grappling advantage and is going to wrestle, he gets slept on the feet. When I think he has the grappling advantage and is going to wrestle, he decides to strike for 3 straight rounds. When I think he's going to get shinned by a guy who's a power puncher, all of a sudden he has good technical striking and jabs his way to a victory. I don't know how to actually predict this guy. He's a wrestler, judo background guy that's pretty decent with jiu-jitsu, and his striking has always been his downfall. But in recent fights, his striking has looked better, but against a guy like Vitor Petrino, Vitor is going to be way quicker, natural light heavyweight, lighter man skill. He's going to have bigger power. He's going to land the more devastating shots. And he could even mix in takedowns, considering Spivak has a 63% takedown defense. When people actually try to take him down, it more often than not works. I have used the Jailton Almeida fight as something against Spivak for his recent fights. How do you get shinned by Jailton Almeida on the feet? That's a terrible look. Vitor Petrino can definitely do the same thing. I also like that Vitor Petrino just beat Steven Asplin by decision by winning rounds 2 and rounds 3. Got knocked down in round 1, pulled it out of the fire, and won rounds 2 and rounds 3 without any grappling. He was simply throwing more volume, simply throwing more power, and was landing the bigger shots. And I think he can do that here. But I actually do think he gets Spivak out of there with one of those big shots. So I think Asplin's durability is way better than Spivak. And if Vitor lands what he was landing on Asplin against Spivak, I think it's going to be curtains. So give me Vitor Petrino to win this fight. I'm going to say by knockout. I'm going to say round number 1. That's when he wins most of his fights by knockout. And we got the main event. Anthony Hernandez taking on Gregory Rodrigues. And in this one, it's actually pretty clear to me how this fight goes. It's going one of 2 ways. Gregory Rodrigues is either going to slime out Fluffy in the first 3 rounds, or Anthony Hernandez is going to submit or slime out Gregory Rodrigues in the last 3 rounds. Gregory Rodrigues, last time we saw him in a 5-round fight, nearly slimed out Cannonier in the first 2 rounds, and then he gets slimed out himself by Cannonier in the last 3 rounds. I don't think his cardio is that good. If he's not getting the early finish, more often than not, his cardio isn't the best. Anthony Hernandez, his cardio is the best. That is what he is known for. We haven't really seen RoboCop offensively wrestled, which is what Anthony Hernandez is going to try to do. The only times we've really seen it happen is Roman Kopylov, who got 2 takedowns on him, so that is a concern. But RoboCop does come from a jiu-jitsu background. He's got pretty decent takedown defense on the regional scene. If this fight stays standing, Anthony Hernandez is getting KO'd. His chubby little flabby stomach, RoboCop is going to target that with his jabs, with his cross, with his knees. Just way more powerful than Fluffy. On the feet, it's not close. The concern is, does Anthony Hernandez break RoboCop over the course of 5 rounds? I don't think that happens. I don't think he pulls a Pereira performance. I don't think he pulls a Dolidze performance. I think RoboCop's on a different level than those fighters. I also think Anthony Hernandez might have gotten his soul stolen by Sean Strickland in his last fight. Barely shot for a takedown in that one. And if he barely shoots for a takedown in this one, he's going to get slimed out yet again. So, hot take, but give me Gregory Rodrigues, RoboCop, Barack Obama, to win this fight by knockout in the first 2 rounds. I think he lands something big to Fluffy's body, lands some big elbows, and eventually gets Fluffy out of there. Thank you for getting to the end of another episode of Finn's Chats. Hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comments what your most confident pick of the card is. Also, let me know what your favorite underdog is. And I'll catch you on Friday for the wagers video. Have a great rest of your day. You savage.